ago, I gave you guys a summary of what happens at the airports, and this is, the first 2 pages you can probably ignore because it's the same thing I gave you last time, but it's just a list of the stuff that's going on at the airport. I don't know that there's anything in there that you need to do anything about, but I just think if you guys know what's all happening up there, then
Have there been any runway lights out?
it's on the sheet.
Okay.
Yes, somebody
Okay.
told me there was some runway lights out, and I thought, well, that's weird.
Okay.
So I went out because every 6 months I usually go out and check them, and there'll be 1 or 2 out. I went out, and there were 17 lights out. It's on there.
Gotcha.
My theory is that it was a lightning strike. That's my theory, because most of them were on the north end, not all of them.
All on the same circuit then?
Well, no, both sides had lights. The problem is, it's like 17 are out, but there should have been 2 or 3. So the question is, was the other 14, it took me 3 hours and $300 worth of bulbs to fix this. We still have enough bulbs. I put on there that I didn't order any bulbs, and then since then, I've been going out every 2 weeks. Like I said, I used to check them every 6 months,
Right.
and so far there's none out. So I think my lightning strike theory is looking better and better, but it's just a theory. But for something happened that just burned out a boatload of bulbs. And I just hadn't noticed it until somebody told me.
Did they just last so long maybe and then they all go out?
Well, they haven't. It's always been, ever since they put those in 10 years ago, it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 a year, 2 or 3 every 6 months. So I just think something happened. And the only thing I can guess is, if lightning would hit the ground, I think that could, I'm telling you more than I know, I think that could induce a current into that wiring and just give a surge. But
It should.
yeah, I don't know.
It would take-
Oh, and I emailed you guys copies of that to save paper, so you have a PDF of that in your email. But we got the cellular modem, just to remind you guys how it works. The fuel concession up there is owned by Nutrien. But a long time ago, the airport commission wanted to have 24-hour fueling, and they wanted to put, this essentially a payment thing that takes credit cards on the pumps. And they asked Grace Flying Service, we were interested in doing it, and we said, well, no, because at the time we were open Monday through Friday and Saturday morning, and anybody that came in during those times, we just took their money. So by putting this on, it was essentially only allow us to sell fuel Saturday afternoon and Sunday, and it was $15,000 and $900 a year or whatever, and we just said, we'll just never sell enough fuel to make that work. So the county said at the time, fine, we'll buy the fuel, the payment processing thing. It's from QT Pod is the brand name, and they did that, and it's been working mostly fine. It's had its issues, but it has been, obviously, since it's payment processing, it has to have internet connection. That internet connection has been hooked to GFS Wi-Fi or Nutrien's Wi-Fi. And so what that meant was if the Wi-Fi went down, whichever one it was hooked to, you couldn't sell fuel because you couldn't turn the pump on because you couldn't pay. There's no way to get there's an override on it, but it's locked up and an average guy can't get to it. So, I don't know. Clear back last spring, I told the CCAC, you guys, what we ought to do is get this hooked up to cellular, to Verizon, and then we'd have redundancy because Wi-Fi, and we were having trouble with the Wi-Fi with Nutrien because if you parked a truck in the wrong spot, it blocked the Wi-Fi. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So anyway, I did some research on it, found out how much it would cost. The CCAC cleared it. We ordered the cellular modem. We kept it around for 2 or 3 months because I wanted Alex to help me install it so he would know what it looked like. And in fact, he ended up doing most of it, but we just did it here about a month ago. So now we do have a cellular modem on the fuel dispenser as well as Wi-Fi. So we've got full redundancy. So this is great. I think this is a really good deal, and it costs like $1,200 and $40 a month for the cellular. So I think, as long as the county wants to keep having 24-hour fuel service, this is a good deal.
I think it's a good deal too.
Yeah. So, because there isn't very much fuel sold, but there is some. Now, this is only 100 low lead. There's no Jet A available on the airport. So airplanes like the Flight for Life, any turbine aircraft that burns Jet A can't get fuel here, just so you guys know that. Nobody's selling Jet A on our airport. Goodland's the closest place. So this is only little airplanes, or not necessarily little, but only piston engine airplanes can buy fuel from at this airport, and that's how it's always been.
Do you have very many of them bigger ones land there anyway?
Yes, we get jet traffic I mean, the Flight for Life comes in probably 100 times a year, but they don't necessarily need fuel. You know, a typical airplane will have 1,000 miles of range, so if you're flying here from Denver and back, you only use a third of a tank, and if you do some planning, you're just not going to need it at the small town. There are jets that land at Goodland and buy Jet A, and I think Butterfly, the vendor, makes some money on that, because when some guy lands here in their Cessna, they might buy 30 gallons of fuel. When a jet lands, they'll buy 400 to 700 gallons, so it's real money, you know. But you got to understand that when a jet lands, a lot of times they don't want to taxi up to the pumps. They want you to bring a truck to them, okay? So you got to keep a fuel truck going. And then whoever's going to fuel these multi-million-dollar aircraft needs to go to a school to understand how to do this. Because if you screw it up and damage, a $40 million aircraft, I mean, so when you step up into the Jet A world, you need to make a financial commitment. In other words, you need to have a fair number of Jet A sales every year to pay for the training, the personnel, the truck, the liability insurance, because that's going to go up. All of those things are going to be expenses, and I don't think, we never wanted to do it. I mean, we had Jet A for our airplanes, but we didn't ever want to sell it because it's just, I don't think, and it's a different crowd. These guys are used to having red carpet service, and they want food catering and stuff like that. It's not.
Not small airport stuff.
Well, like I say, Goodland does it, but Goodland is kind of a unique airport because they have always had ILS. They've got a restaurant. They're kind of located between Denver and Kansas City, so they get some Jet A traffic, and then the military comes in there. The restaurant actually helps a lot. It's surprising, but guys will just say, look, if we land there, we can get Jet A and we can grab a quick lunch. Instead of running downtown to McDonald's, we can actually go into a restaurant and sit down. So I actually think, but it's most small airports don't sell Jet A. So there's some other stuff on there. The beacon went out. I don't know. It's just the stuff that the airport operator does.
Right.
So the airport operator agreement, I've got a copy here for you guys, but it's the same thing you guys just signed. I just brought it for reference. Expires on November 15th of this year. And as you'll recall, I brought you a copy of this, even though I know you've got it. And I don't know, Scott probably doesn't care. As you recall, last year when we renewed it, you told me that you wanted to do the mowing, which was fine, so we reduced the amount of payment, and we made an agreement that I would keep the Round Top building in return for being the airport operator, which has worked fine. However, I don't really need the Round Top building anymore. It's bigger and more than I need. I've got my airplanes in the other hangars, and so I'm moving out of it, and I will be completely out of it by November 15th. So it'll go back to the county, and you guys can do with it. There is an airplane in it right now. The guy that had the engine failure, and there have been some people contact me about buying one of my hangars, and there's some interest in hangars. So I strongly recommend that you guys keep it as a hangar and not turn it into a warehouse. But that's my recommendation. So what that means is, I think that building is probably worth $500 a month. That'd be a fair price. So what I'm proposing is, if you want me to be the airport operator for 2024, I'll give you the building back, and you can have the CCAC pay me $500 a month to be the airport operator. And that's on page 2 of this. Other than that, I think we can just leave this agreement as it is. It's not perfect, but it gets most of the stuff. And that document there that I already gave you really tells you what normally gets done. And I think most of the things that are on that document are in this airport operator agreement. So it's up to you guys. You've got until November 15th to decide. But if you want to keep going, I'll give you the building. I'll take $500 a month and go on with life. But it's whatever you think.
Okay. I didn't realize there were so many rattlesnakes up there.
I haven't seen any in a while, but I mean, I've seen them.
I about clipped him with the landing gear trying to, I was going too fast or I would've got him. I was taking off.
It was a rattlesnake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them up there, but I haven't seen one lately. I mean, there are snakes. The only other two things, you guys just need to get back to me by November 15th on this operator agreement. And my office still hasn't been repaired from the hailstorm, but I'm getting closer. I may start advertising that after I get it repaired, so if the county wants to buy it or wants to negotiate on it, you need to, I mean, I don't know that it's gonna sell, but
We need a little bit more time. We're kinda looking at some stuff.
Okay.
And
Do you have a date in your head?
I'm not quite sure. I think,
I'm trying to work with Dave. I'm still not excited about getting a grant and building one.
it just needs some time, but if you get an opportunity, that's,
Well, I was just gonna start putting up for sale signs and stuff, but I'll push it back a little. First of all, I haven't gotten my guy to do the repairs yet, so
Okay.
I've got the cart in front of the horse.
we're just telling you we're not quite ready. We need to compare.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then I'll kinda hang back.
What did you price it at?
Well, look, I'm willing to negotiate on this because you guys are my preferred buyers. You are, I'm serious.
I know,
For two reasons. One is, I don't have to do another lease agreement. It'll just evaporate. With any other buyer, we've got to do another lease agreement, transfer it over. With you guys, you don't need a lease agreement. And I actually think, there's no question on mine, the airport will be a more inviting place for people that fly in if it has restrooms, sooner rather than later. I don't know that I can't argue that it's absolutely critical to the airport, but if you guys buy it, then that office will be open to the people that fly in. If I sell it to some third party, it's gonna be locked up again. Unless they come in and be an FBO like Grace Flying Service was, and I find that highly unlikely because you just can't make money being an FBO in a little airport. So that doesn't seem like a likely scenario. I mean, it kind of depends on the buyer. If somebody bought it that opened it up, well, then that'd be fine. But you guys could, what I would propose is if you guys buy it, we would just change those door locks to something like the emergency radio frequency, something that every pilot knows. And so every pilot that came in could get in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but it would kind of be locked from, the general public. And it's a good deal. So seriously, I will work with the county because I really do see you as the best buyers, but,
Okay.
We
are looking into it.
Okay, then I'm gonna hold off on selling it. The last thing is, like I just said, I have had some interest maybe in buying one of my hangars, so I still would like to redo that lease agreement sometime. I mean, just so that's not in the road of,
Okay. And you want that by November 15th?
well, no, I'm not, the November 15th is the operator agreement.
Okay.
I would just like to get the hangar, it would be nice, I guess, because at that point hangars are gonna change, so that'd be a
Right.
good temporary deadline. I mean, because when this hangar opens up, then it's another option on the airport for people.
Right.
If they want that hangar. Like I say, there's still that one airplane in it that wrecked, and I need to get a hold of that guy and tell him that on November 15th that he'll be dealing with you and not me. But I haven't done that yet because we've got him on. I can't remember his name. but I've got him.
Continental's like 2 years behind though.
What's that?
In the Continental IO 550, isn't it like 2 years behind?
Everybody tells me it's gonna be next month, and you're telling me 2 years?
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I'd like 5 minutes executive session for non-elected personnel.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for 5 minutes executive session for non-elected personnel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
So we leave?
No.
I think you're gonna stay.
I want you to stay.
Okay. Okay.
So-
You need to turn the camera on.
Hey, 5 minutes, I'm sorry.